Okay, welcome. I'm going to work on a new project, and hopefully you can watch and see how the project evolves and get some ideas. And of course, if you've seen any of my other videos, there are times when I make mistakes, which I think are very informative. I don't clean those out, scrub those out of the videos. So I'm starting a new project. I know the site location. I know the parameters of the size, and it's a speculative home. So the contractor who's going to build this house on speculation or attempt to market it just through my work, my renderings and design, has given me some restrictions. He said, here's the site. The surveyor has created a survey, which I have. Normally, I would import this as a DWG, but I just pasted it into this project to begin with. You can also see that when I start a new project, or actually when I finish a previous project, I save that project as a template. That is my working template for the next project that I start on. And what happens there is, of course, I have to do some elimination of some of the work, the actual house that I've drawn in the previous project, so that I have a blank sheet or canvas to start with. But the reason I do that is I find that generally on every single project I work on, there's something new that I need to make as a standard. And so I like to I make that a different stacked wall or a different cabinet or something different, unique. And so, or just a different cabinet size. And so now if I had 12, 15, 18, and 21-inch cabinet width, and I needed a 24-inch cabinet width, so I modified that family to have a 24-inch width. Now I have that as an option. I select when I'm in my properties and I'm looking for a different cabinet. I don't have to go in and change the constraints of it to make it 24 inches. Now I have it. And so you can see here that we're looking at a 3D view, and I have all of my stacked walls already created. And then I have a lot of the families that I use over and over again in the different parts of the house. I also have them already loaded. And you'll see how easy it is to use that. But I have my base cabinets, and I have a microwave drawer cabinet. I have washer and dryer, a stacked washer and dryer here, in a sink base, dishwasher, refrigerator, stove, and the vent. So I don't have to go looking for these things on Revit City or in my Revit. That's already loaded into the project. And so I also have a basic kitchen or bathroom sink and countertop. I think there is actually, there is a mirror up there as well. You can see the mirror might be inside the wall. But anyway, I have all of these things in an island, kitchen island, with a little appliance on it, and the sink is already cut out. So I have a lot of things. And then if we go over to my sections here, my stacked walls, and we'll take a look at that section. You can see I have all of my stacked walls already created that I can just pick from, and I don't have to go in and make them. But sometimes I have a stacked wall that needs to be modified, and so I modify that, and it becomes part of this model. And at the end of the job, or at the beginning of a new job, I use the previous model that I've been working on as my template. So if I've added another stacked wall, now I have that stacked wall as available for my project here. And the other nice thing about doing that is if you take a look at my elevations, if you're working on laying out with levels and stuff like that, I already have all of my levels put in. but I have them organized as well. So I have some pieces of information are on the left-hand side, some are on the right-hand side, but they're not on top of each other. So I found that I'm taking a lot of time in the setup of the project to put these pieces of information in when I've already done them and organized them. So I don't need to organize that on every single project, other than making sure that my floor to ceiling heights are correct. So I'm assuming on this project, I'm going to have 10-foot ceiling on the first floor and an 8-foot ceiling on the second floor. And that may change, but I'm starting out. So if we go back to my site plan, now this is from the surveyor, and there's some restrictions on this. I have a woodland preservation area, and I have a wetland preservation area, and I have an offset from those. So even though this is the area that needs to be preserved, the township will not allow anything to be built within 10 feet of that preservation area, because their argument is that material has to be moved to this site, and equipment has to be moved on the site. And if you're building right up to the preservation area, then you don't have the ability to put equipment in the backyard and materials in the backyard and stuff. So what they've said is, here's the preservation area legally defined, but still we have put another restriction, which means we have to be another 10 feet off of those boundaries. So the surveyor was nice enough to create that for me. So I know I have my building envelope right here. And that changes over here, because this would be assumed that that's where the driveway is going to come in for the garage. So the first thing I'm going to do, I haven't laid anything out yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in and I'm going to go over to the architecture tab, and I'm going to put some reference planes in, so that whatever level I'm working on, I'm going to be able to see the reference planes, so that I'm certain that I don't build outside of this envelope here. Now, I do know that on my first and second floor, if I choose, I can cantilever into this area. If I have, for example, I may have misspoke a little bit there. For sure, on my second floor, I can cantilever the 2 feet. And if the grade drops off enough on the first floor, then I can cantilever as well. So I'm going to pick this line. It looks like this line is not a straight line. I'm going to pick that line. So I think it looks to me, maybe I have all of my reference planes located now. Let's see one there. Let's see one here. Let's see one here. All right, so let's go back and put some more in just to be safe. Across to here. And then I'm going to put a reference plane in here. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't chain it. Anyway, so now I'm looking at my site plan. I definitely want to be able to see that site plan. But if I go to my first floor plan, I really dislike this mouse that I have. All right, so here's my first floor plan. I don't need to see the looks like I've left some information from the previous project. So I have to get rid of that. What I'm going to do now is I should be able to see my reference planes. I don't need to see the site plan anymore. So VG for visibility graphics. S will get me down to the site. Let's turn off that, see what happens here. Site should go away. Nope, okay. VG. Let's go to topography. Let's see what happens when I turn off the topography. And okay, so this is something other than site plan or topography. It is a Imported symbol. Okay. I don't know how to do that, so I'll just come down to the eyeglasses for now and say hide that category. So I don't need to see that. Now these, I don't need to have these rooms in here. This is from a previous project, as I said. So well, I guess I could leave this if I wanted to. So see, I got some of the reference planes, but not all of them. So let's see. I have to go back and turn this back on again, reset temporary. And I wanted to go in right here, so we'll do that. Let's go in there. And I just want to see if I'm making a mistake here that I'm unaware of. So I'm going to hide that element. Okay, there's my reference plane. Okay, so come back and put that reference plane back, with the site back in there, so I can draw another reference plane, which is from here to here. And I'm going to grab this guy again and come over to the eyeglass and just hide that. That's very strange. We'll get that in again. All right, so I'm taking a little time here to set it up correctly so that I don't have any mistakes later on down the road. But I want my reference plane. I can see that the names are there, or the click to names are there. So I'm going to say okay to that. And that's definitely there. I'll click back on this site again. And back to here, hide the element. Okay, so now I have my reference planes in there. Let's grab this guy. My crop region should definitely be bigger. And I also have all of these because I'm saying don't crop the view. So now when I say crop the view down here with this little icon, you can't see all of the things that I have placed over here. And those are, if you remember, these are my stacked walls and my fans that I'll use to put in later on in the project. So, tell Revit that I do want it to crop the view. The crop region looks pretty good. Grab this and drag him out a little farther. Now the dashed lines represent the field of depth of field, what I can see. So this is my section cut, and this is the depth of what I would be able to see. So anything outside of this range, I'm not going to be able to see. If I wanted to see farther back, then I would drag this guy. Oops, snap onto it. Well, that's weird. So I'm going to undo that. And so I'm changing my depth of field here to, I don't have any objects in this project, so I can't tell, but if I wanted to see farther back, I would just change my depth of field. Okay, so that looks good. And you can see that it's already, I've already made my sheets. And so this particular section is already on a sheet, even though there isn't anything there. So all my sheets are made, not all of them. I might have to add or delete some, but a lot of the work has already been put into this template that I don't have to duplicate every single time. So I'm going to pause it here and do a little bubble diagram. And then we'll start this up again, but I want to show the bubble diagram as to what I'm kind of thinking about how this house is going to work. So I generally do start with a bubble diagram just to get an idea of the relationships of the rooms, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. And then I'll start to actually lay out the walls and decide, you know, the bubble diagram is a good starting point, but it's not exact, or specific. It's really just where I want the rooms to relate to each other. So let's start with that bubble diagram next. So before I start my bubble diagram, I want to put something in here that gives me some sense of scale. So if I take my crop region and expand it out, you can see that I have all of my stacked walls here. And I'm going to use those. I'm going to grab one of those. I'm going to go over here to my section, and it's called Stacked Walls Families. So I'll just click on that, and now I have them all there. I'm going to type WT. Now I have the view of both of these. I have my first floor plan, which shows the reference planes as my outlines. That's telling me see that on every sheet. And then I'm going to come over to my stacked walls here. And let's grab this. Let's pull this back out so we can actually see the stacked walls again. Okay. Yep. And now I'm going to look for a garage stacked wall. So this looks like a good garage stacked wall right here. This may be the one I use. Mine may have a two-story garage stacked wall, which would be this one. I don't know. I'll start with this for now. So I've highlighted it. If I come over here, I can see that wall is highlighted right there. And so I can activate this view and I can copy this guy over to here. And I just want to put in my garage, just so that I have some reference to scale. So I'm going to flip that because I want the brick on the outside. Let's see if I can align that to my reference plane, because I know I can't build beyond that. Okay, so that's the outside face of my garage. I can copy that again over like that. And I want to rotate it 90 degrees. Let's see if I can do that real quick. Oh, I copied it again by mistake. So I'm going to highlight that. Rotate it 90 degrees. And I don't need this one, so I'll delete it. And then I will align this line. And then using the trim extend, which I still call fillet from the AutoCAD days. There's the corner of my garage. And I don't know if I'm going to have a house. I'm probably going to have a house back here. So that means that that would be a different type of a wall. Let's see what we have there. That's a what I call a house garage wall. Let's see if we have one of those somewhere here. That's very strange. We do have one. Let's see. Here we go. So here's my basement wall. Here's my brick ledge. Here's my cavity for my studs. And what I'm just pausing about is why I have this blocking here. I really don't need that blocking. But I'm going to use it anyway. Looks like what the best wall that I can use for now. So I'm going to, again, just highlight it and then come over here and I'll be able to see that that one's highlighted, and I'll just copy it from where, oops. This is it, because there's no brick here. It has a brick ledge, but there's no brick. So I'm going to come over here, copy this guy over to here, and let's zoom in there real close and see. All right, so my gypsum board is on this side, and then this would be the wall surface on the garage side. So there's going to be the gypsum board and the rigid insulation and the plywood sheathing. So the orientation is correct. So I'll just grab this guy and kind of drag him over here, a little bit better location. Okay, like that. I don't need this anymore, I don't think, so I can zoom. I can close this guy, and then I'm back into a little bit bigger real estate. All right. So I use the trim extend for these two. And this is a similar wall between the house and the garage. So I'll click on that, and copy this wall over to here. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I can trim extend this one and this one, and this one and this one. Okay. So that's essentially, I have two outside garage walls, and then I have a wall that's between the garage and the house. Now, just the reason that I did this is I wanted some scale in there so that when I do my bubble diagram, I kind of have an idea. So I'm going to have a 3-car garage. This is in West Bloomfield, Michigan, and a 3-car garage is pretty typical. It would be very extreme that, West Bloomfield, Michigan is a suburb of Detroit. Detroit's the auto capital. West Bloomfield is a very affluent community. It's not uncommon to have a 3-car garage is pretty standard, I guess is where I'm going with that. So I want to change this to be 30 feet, and it's only 13. So I want to activate the dimension. This is a stacked wall. So in order to be able to modify the dimension, I have to click activate dimension. Now I'm telling Revit that I want to change this dimension, and I want Revit to change that dimension by moving the object that I have highlighted. So that's why I selected this wall, and then I said activate dimension. And now, just for scale, 30 is probably going to be too small for the garage. It'll probably be larger than that. That's pretty tight, 30 foot for a 3-car garage. And now again, I'm going to make this 20 feet. And the wall that I want Revit to move when I change this dimension is this one. So I click on this wall. Again, it's a stacked wall, so I have to say activate dimensions. If it were just the standard wall, this would automatically activate. And I'm going to just change this to 20 feet. Okay. So now on my site plan, I have an idea of my building envelope and relative to my 3-car garage. So it's very helpful in terms of scale for me. So let's see, the next thing you see would be the bubble diagram. Okay, so I have my bubble diagram. We can just hide that element for now. So I did a bubble diagram basically. And what I'm trying to do is figure out the relationships with the spaces. So when we come in from the garage, it'd be nice to have a back hall lab and a laundry room and some sort of closet area. All right, we have a kitchen and a breakfast nook, which should be close to the entrance from the garage. And I think that's possibly pretty close for now. Okay, this may end up being the entrance way, but and then I have a back hall stair. All right, then we have our breakfast nook and kitchen. Then we have a great room. Then I have my entrance in the dining room, which will have some sort of connection so that we can get from the kitchen to the dining room. And then I need a closet and a powder room in the front of the house and a library. And then the goal was to try to get a master bedroom on the first floor. I'm not really sure that's going to happen without compromising some of the rest of the spaces. But anyway, that's the first step. Starting out with an existing template, so I don't have a lot of setup time to do. Plus, most of the pieces that I'm going to need exist inside of this model already. I started out by inserting the site plan, pasted it in this particular case, but I could have linked it as well. And normally I would link it. But anyway, then I said, all right, so I have my building envelope. Here's the envelope that I have to build in. Let's start by putting in a garage here, just so that I have some reference of scale here. And I can see that, 20-foot wide garage, that's going to be difficult to get a master bedroom, an entranceway, and a dining room because that 20 feet is, again, right here. So my dining room and the entrance, it's just probably not going to work. Anyway, let's take a look at it in 3D, and then we'll stop for this first step here. That would be kind of what you want to do. So we take a look at it in 3D, and here you can see the advantage that we have here of using Revit, because I've created these components already. I have my garage wall, my exterior garage wall. So now I've already got it made, right? And then I have the wall between the house and the garage. It's a basement wall. It has to have a cavity for the floor joist and the subfloor, and it does. And this is the question that blocking I put in there for that. I'm not sure why that's there, but anyway, you can see it. I've got the cavity here. So that could be my garage. I don't need brick on the inside faces. So I've got gypsum board here. And I'll have to go back in and modify this stacked wall, because I'm not sure why that blocking is there. It might make sense to me later, but anyway, so there we go. There we have the step one of starting to create a home.